Alright guys, welcome to Tabletop Republic. Tom here in store, and I am about to put together an Abyssal Dwarf list for Kings of War. I'm going to start an Abyssal Dwarf army because I really want to put together now a 100% Mantic miniatures army. Mantic are a great company, and I want to support them by obviously fielding an army that is full of their miniatures. I've got the elves on the go, but they are being produced out of Citadel. Lord of the Rings, Galadrim elves, and that sort of thing. You may have seen a little bit of that already on the channel, but I've gone for the Abyssal Dwarfs because they're just so many really cool miniatures in the range. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put together a 2,000 point list. I've just got Easy Army up here to run through what we can expect to see. Now I know how I'm starting this without a shadow of a doubt. I am going to go for 2 hordes of lesser obsidian golems. Those things are absolutely nails. Nerve dash 17, defense 6. They just my good friend Rob is an absolute demon with his Abyssal Dwarves, and the lesser obsidian golems are a kind of key pivot to that army. They're just immovable. If you damage them, they can heal. You can't do them on the front in one charge because of the high defense. And if you do, then pretty much whatever you've charged in with is gonna get absolutely caned in the following turn. So, yeah, for me that's a great little starting point. I really want, and I will side note this and say that this army list is going to be a little bit of what sounds like a good idea, like the obsidian golems, and a little bit of just what I think are pretty cool. And so we're going to go in with a horde as well of decimators. Now, obviously, hordes in terms of infantry, you're getting good unlocks with that. So that's part of it. But I mean, you see here we've got 25 shots of piercing 1 with steady aim and vicious. It's just brutal. You know, that is really a brutal unit, and the kind of thing that your opponent is going to have to deal with at some point. So they're definitely going in, just definitely. Now we're going to look at the war machines in a minute because I want to kind of get to the bits and pieces that I find quite fun first. The war machines, if they weren't so good, I probably would leave them, but you know, on the Abyssal Dwarf army list, the war machines are so powerful. So I want a Hellfane because they're massive and just awesome. The model is incredible, so I definitely want one. What does it bring in itself? Well, defense 6, lovely. Dash 18 on the nerve, 9 attacks with crushing 2, Strider, Thunderous 2. That's a good combo, that, isn't it? So Crush 2, Thunderous 2 with Strider. Speed 6, so obviously quite slow, but if you do get the charge on something, the only thing is obviously with 9 attacks, you'll probably miss 3 of them, but the other 6 are almost certainly to damage because you've got Vicious as well. I'm going to put the Hellforged Overmaster on there because I'm a glutton for Inspiring. So to get a bit of Inspiring for 25 points on that bad boy, I'm going for that. Wild Charge Aura as well, +2 on infantry. Could be useful, potentially. I'm going to have a bit of infantry, I'll add that in a second, but you know, for now, we'll just get the Hellfane in there. So, Overmaster on Ancient Winged Half-Breed. I'll think about that, depending on what else we add, but I want to look at these little bits here. The Abyssal Grotesque Champion. So, for 140 points, we've got a Speed 7, Melee 3+, Defense 5 unit. 12-14 on the nerve. Isn't great in respect to the rest of the army. And he's got no Inspiring. But I am a bit of a sucker for little bits like this that can just sort of mill about and be a nuisance. So, you know, this guy's got Brutal. That's always handy. Crushing 2, Nimble, Regen, Thunderous Charge. So Thunderous 1 with Crushing 2. If you can get the right charge off unhindered, then, you know, with his 5 attacks, he's going to chip a few wounds off something. And if you can flank him, then you know, all the better there. Obviously, he's got vicious, so I am going to think about him. I'm not going to just add everything to the list first time of looking, because this is kind of a decision-making process as I'm putting the list together, really. So, Abyssal Half-Breeds. This is definitely a regiment that's going in there. They are, again, when I see Rob use these, they are an Alpha Strike unit. They're a glass cannon. They charge in, they destroy a unit, and then pretty much the next turn they get killed in turn. So, I mean, you know, defense 4, 14, 16 on the regiment. They're probably not going to last all that long. I'm also not going to add any artifacts now. I'm just going to pop the units in the list itself. But you know, you can put Brewer Strength on there. Something gives them Crush 2, Thunderous 1. They've got a Vicious already. You could give them Elite perhaps, and then if you do get the Thunderous charge off, then you know, with Elite and Vicious in there, you are going to be causing a lot of wounds. So we'll just pop that regiment in there for now. So, you know, we're only at 11,950 in terms of points. We're going up to 2,000 on this list, but, you know, I may look to build it to 2,300 eventually. But, you know, we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there, sort of thing. So, let's have a look at the Grotesques. Now, the Grotesques, so they're a large cavalry unit. Defense 5, so they've got the higher defense than the half-breeds. 18 attacks compared to 16 from these guys. Speed 7, so they're a slower unit. Crush 1, Thunderous 2. They do have the Brutal on there as well, and they've got higher nerve. So they are, you know, an interesting option as well. 45 more points than the half-breeds. So maybe, but I think I'm going to leave them for now because I see my points as we're getting, you know, we've crossed over the threshold of 1,000. We've got to add some bit more inspiring yet. We need some war machines. We need to look at casters. So I think I prefer the half-breeds on there. They've got the speed advantage and they are just designed to plunge in and, you know, sort of get destroyed ultimately. So on the topic of a bit more inspiring, let's have a look at the options. The two easy options are the Slave Driver, which, you know, every army has their equivalent of a, you know, like a standard bearer, and that's the Slave Driver for the Abyssal Dwarves. 55 points. He's an easy, cheap source of inspiring. The old one attack, you know, melee 4 miniature. You can give them artifacts, so you could put Bane Chant on this guy or something, which, you know, wouldn't be a bad shout. That's not a bad option. And I may, if I've got the points left over, do that. But I do want to have an Overmaster because I want a characterful leader for this army. And yeah, I'd love to get an Overmaster in there. So I'm just going to add him as he is for now. Again, we will, you know, we'll leave any artifacts up. The Infernal Advance option is quite interesting. Strider, infantry only. You know, for 20 points. The problem is I'm not going to have. Let's have a look. Well, I mean, you've got monstrous infantry on the lesser obsidian golems, but no, it's only infantry, isn't it? So yeah, it wouldn't really be that applicable in terms of this army because the only infantry I've currently got pure infantry on the list is the decimators, and I'm probably not going to be looking to charge them in and take advantage of Strider at any time soon. So I will just pop him in as he is as a nice little unit. You know, he's mighty, so that's very handy for individuals to sort of block up your opposition regiments. Crush 1, Vicious, Defense 6, 5 attacks, melee 3. So, you know, he'll be a nuisance. And again, maybe I'll give him some artifact or something in a moment. An Iron Caster. So this is the guy that is going to mill about with the lesser obsidian golems. So these guys have the keyword Hellforged, which is the important one here, because this Ironcaster has heal 3 for Hellforged only. So that means that any little wounds that your opponent does chip off these obsidian golems, you can heal them up with this guy. And Fireball 10 as well, very good. You know, you can replace his Fireball with Surge for free, so that's probably a good option. You know, I'm not really sure where I'll do that. I won't lie to you. I haven't played any Abyssal Dwarves yet, so I haven't play tested any of this. But he's very cool. You know, it's always extremely frustrating when you chip those wounds off those obsidian golems and you just heal back up again. I can't add him because I need to get a few more regiments on the thing. I think. Oh no, it should have had. There we go. There we go. So that is added there. The Ironcaster, lovely. All right. So the Hexcaster is interesting. It's got the weakness spell. It's got the Hex spell. So they're pretty cool. So you can, you know, wreak havoc on your opponent's spellcasters, and it's kind of something that your opponent has to think about dealing with at some point, or it's going to keep being a real frustration. So, and the model is really cool, the little spidery thing with the flaming rune on it. So I think that I will be popping one of those on there, because for 70 points, you know, you get a really, really awkward little thing there. I probably will tag this in a second. I'll go on there and give him weakness 3 as well, because that gives him, you know, he's still sub 100 points, but he's going to be causing some issues, I think, there. So what have we got now? So let's have a look at points. 1480. So we're still under 1500 points. I've got a lot going on already now. I've got the big old thing of decimators that's going to be hosing things down. I've got the half-breeds, the obsidian golems, the hellfane, you know, trundling over the battlefield. I've got the overmaster that I want just for a cool model, hexcaster, and the ironcaster. So I've got a lot going on here. We should probably have a look at war engines for a moment. So let's just go through them. If I open them up here. The Dragonfire Team is the one I'll start with first. Blackfire gun, 12-inch, steady aim and vicious. Now it's 85 points for 12 attacks, which, you know, that's not actually that bad. It's nimble and it's steady aim. It's interesting because it's the kind of thing that can just bowl around and your opponent might, you know, either have to ignore, or it's kind of like a chaffy thing that they'll have to think about at some point for 85 points. So, and if they don't, then you're going to be rolling 12 dice or something at some point. So it's interesting, but I think the decimators are going to do the job that this thing's going to do. Okay, so we've got the Anger Heavy Mortar, which is, you know, just, it can be an absolute beast. Yes, range 5+. So this is the problem, obviously, with War Machines, is they are a bit of a gamble, but if you can hit with this thing, then it will just remove units, you know. So 48-inch blast D3 +2, ignores cover, piercing 2, shattering, you know, vicious. So it's a real brute at 115 points. The Katsuchan rocket launcher. Let's have a look. Piercing 1, ignores cover, blast D3. 3 attacks though. So that's the cool thing about that one is less points. So it's 30 less points there. For you're only getting pierce 1 off it. But you know, blast D3 ignores cover. So if you got lucky with that guy, then you could chip some wounds off there. And you got your Grog Mortar. Blast D3 +1, ignores cover, indirect, piercing 2, vicious. So let's have a look at that guy. So that's 20 less points than the heavy mortar. You are losing. What are you losing there? You're losing +1 on the D3 blast basically. But you know, if you're maybe running a lower points list, well, certainly if you are running a lower points list, then you just take the mortar and the heavy mortar. and you just roll dice at people. But I think I will go with the cheaper option of the two, because mortars are such a gamble. You know, we're talking about 20 points difference. 20 points can be, you know, the artifacts that I'll probably have to put on some of the other units here. So I am going to put in 2 grog mortars for now, and that gets us up to 1670. So we've still got plenty of points to play with here. So we're going to need a bit of chaff. We're going to need a bit of chaff here, and gargoyles at 85 points or some absolutely exceptional chaff. Speed 10, nimble obviously with fly, regen 4+. I mean, if they get hit by something, chances are they're gone anyway. So regen isn't so much of an issue, but you know what a nuisance these things can be if your opponent doesn't deal with them. They can just charge down the battlefield, chase down any kind of ranged unit that you might want to, you know, deal with. They're definitely going in because, you know, they're just such a nuisance. They really are. Okay, and we're at 1755. So let's have a look. I'm not even working out the unlocks here. I'm just going to wait until Easy Army tells me no. Mutated Mastiff Hunting Pack. All right. So we've got a regiment of 3 stands because it's a swarm. 65 points, speed 6. So it's not the fastest, obviously, in terms of being chaff, but for the dwarf army, it's relatively speedy at speed 6. They are not nimble, but they are literally just there to be chaff and get in the way of something. And it's probably worth at 65 points just getting those bases in the way of something trying to charge you. So let's whack them in there. All right. So let's have a look. If there's anything else cool that I want to get in there. So you see, I've got all this stuff. I'm 1820. I haven't really even looked at the Supreme Ironcaster or the Overmaster on the Ancient Winged Half-Breed. It might be something that gets in there, you know, maybe it should be. By all means, you know, I'd love to hear feedback on this video, because this is just me clicking buttons and adding stuff that sounds like it'd be good. You know, this isn't set in stone. The only thing I want to start with is the obsidian golems for now, because I know that they're definitely going to be in there. I'm going to be unmoved on that. So, you know, I can't afford them on the points already. By all means, maybe if I take the gargoyles and the hunting pack out and take that chaff out, I could. But that chaff's going to be doing a job, you know. It's going to be looking after the decimators and the war machines. Sorry. So after that, I would like to have a couple of regiments or troops or something that are going to be dealing with, you know, making sure I don't get flanked, or they're dealing with collecting objectives on the battlefield and that kind of thing. So here with the Black Souls, I can get a troop or two at 75 points each. They are defense 5, so they're pretty sturdy little things. The troop comes at nerve 10-12, so, you know, even if you're around inspiring, your opponent is going to have to dedicate something to removing these troops if they want to get them off the field in one go, because if they just fire a couple of bow shots at them or something, chip maybe 3 wounds, you know, in one turn, there's still a good chance, especially if you're within inspiring range, that those guys are going to stick around anyway. But I am going to put a regiment in there for now, just because it gives me unlocks as well, and you know, it's got the nerve on them, it's got a couple more attacks, and it's got the unit strength, so we'll like that. I was considering, when I was looking at this before, the exchanging shields for 2-handed weapons to get the crush in there. That's a possibility. It doesn't cost any points, so it's irrelevant to putting this list together, but I might look to do that, just so that they are a little bit of a sweeper unit, you know. So we're on 1935. So what I'm going to do at this point is get that slave driver in there, putting us up to 1990. Now I haven't got any artifacts in there. Thank you. There's the word. And I also haven't got the Greater Obsidian Golem, which I would have liked to have got in, and the Grotesque Champion. So I think I'm probably getting a little bit sticky here with the points. What can we say that might be a little bit of a sink? The Grog Mortars maybe, but you know, if they hit, they're going to take stuff off the board. The Gargoyles and the Mutated Mastiff Hunting Pack. Certainly I could drop the Gargoyles, get another Hunting Pack for a Mutated Mastiff Hunting Pack, because that's 20 points that will go into artifacts there. So I'm going to actually leave the video there, because this is a 2,000 point list, but as you can see at the end, there's a few things that we can chop and change to change what we've got there. But let's just go through what I've put on the list for now. So we've got a regiment of Black Souls, we've got a troop of Gargoyles, we've got the horde of Decimators, a mutated Mastiff Hunting Pack regiment, Abyssal Half-Breeds, we've got the regiment of those guys. That might be somewhere where, you know, an artifact would be handy to make them, just give them maximum punch when they go in. 2 hordes of lesser obsidian golems. We've got 2 grog mortars, a hellfane. Maybe that's a bit of a point sink, but I love the model, so I'm getting it. We've got the slave driver, the overmaster, the hexcaster, and the iron caster. So certainly there will be opportunity there to chop and change, maybe make the points that I've used there a bit more efficient. Let me know what you think. If there's something you would change in this list, drop it in the comments below, have a little bit of a discussion, and we'll see what you think. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Take care, bye bye.